Good evening and welcome to the Greg Tompsett Sports Show. Tonight, we are going to whip around NFL Week 7 and see all the different action of everything going on today. Tonight's show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. We will be going over some of their fun things later on in the show, but appreciate them. If you use promo code COVER1, you can get yourself a $100 match on your first deposit. So we'll run through a lot of things here. A lot of Bills fans jumping in today. Today was not the day for it, but we will not let us stop us from looking at all the rest of the action around the NFL. All right, we are going to start out with the Thursday night action. We had Jacksonville against New Orleans. Actually, a little bit, better of a game than I expected. Jacksonville started out with a pretty solid lead. New Orleans came back a little bit later. Again, more garbage time stats for Derek Carr, 55 passing attempts, 12 receptions for Alvin Kamara, 14 check down attempts. Pretty impressive, in just constant little check down nickel and dime stuff. Jacksonville looked good. I think that they're really coming into their own. Their combination of Travis Etienne showing, some true explosion, getting Christian Kirk really involved. There was no Kelvin Ridley in the game today. So, pulling off a nice win against, the New Orleans isn't a great team, but they have a good defense. So getting that figured out without needing a lot from Kelvin Ridley, because you had Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram to lean into his other weapons, really went a long way. Jacksonville obviously is going to be a team to be reckoned with as we go forward here. In the drug-addled game of the day, Cleveland and Indianapolis was absolutely bananas. I'm actually going to go in and show you guys the scoring recap. They went in, started out, Jerome Ford had almost a 70-yard touchdown run, and then on a play that Myles Garrett jumped off sides and was a free play, they took a shot down the field, and the defensive back stopped running. So Josh Downs just ran by himself down the field. Minshew scored again. They came back and forth. You can see the up and down of the actual win probability chart. And at the end, it came down, both teams, had what they thought was turnovers, and then a penalty would call it back, and then it came back the other way. Just a bunch of madness back and forth in this game. Ultimately, Kareem Hunt gets kind of pushed into the end zone with 15 seconds left. They win the game 39-38. It just crazy back and forth this entire game. Really, really wild. But the real takeaway to me was Myles Garrett, I think, is the best non-quarterback in the NFL right now. He was absolutely dominant today. His highlights were all over, just crazy strip sack fumbles. He leaped over a guard on a field goal attempt, and clean. Whenever you're not allowed to jump over the center, but you can technically jump over other linemen. It's just super hard to do. He completely cleared them, blocked the field goal, had a strip sack in the end zone that caused a defensive touchdown, knocked down a pass on a critical third down when they were trying to convert, just completely dominated the game. His official stat line ended up with 2 sacks, a tackle for a loss, 2 quarterback hits, a pass defense, also with a forced fumble. Just a unbelievable game today from Myles Garrett. Shout out to him. Right now, easily the defensive player of the year. The Giants looked actually spry against Washington. Tyrod Taylor played within himself, played the Tyrod game that we know he can. Saquon Barkley looked a little bit more explosive. They got the ball to Darren Waller. Washington can't figure out what it wants to be here. It'll play a good game, then play a bad game, then play a good game, then a bad game. Sam Howell took a bunch of sacks, but New York put together a nice game, and we're there. What was probably the biggest shock for me today, a lot of people like Detroit. Obviously, last week having Kansas City barely win and Philadelphia lose, San Francisco lose. There were a couple of places that had Detroit number 1 on their power rankings, and Baltimore came in and absolutely kicked them in the teeth. You had, I think, a 35-0 lead at one point. Detroit finally scored a touchdown late in the fourth quarter. This game was absolute domination right from the very beginning. I think I saw a stat at one point that Baltimore had 16 first downs before Detroit got their first down. So Baltimore, again, a team that's a bit Jekyll and Hyde themselves, but today they were clicking on absolutely all cylinders. Looked fantastic. Lamar Jackson got the ball all over the place, distributed it. Big game for Mark Andrews, but also got a bunch of other guys involved, really spreading it around, didn't lean too heavily in any one direction. Their run game was okay. is as much as you might expect with a game script like this. They actually kept passing the ball and kept moving it later on. So it wasn't until pretty late in the fourth quarter that they leaned into the run game even more. This was really a Lamar game, and Detroit's defense has been good. So shout out to them. Baltimore, obviously, going to be heard from as the season goes. God, I can't believe that the Bears, actually came out and won a game like this. This is behind Tyson Bagent, his dad, the former world champion arm wrestler, came in and played great. Dante Foreman scored 3 touchdowns. Just I can't spend a lot of time talking about a Tyson Bagent, Brian Hoyer football game. But the Bears may, regret winning this one later on when it comes to draft season. But good for them getting a W on the board, feeling good about what they had going on. I guess that'll have to satisfy them. The Raiders ultimately already have 3 wins in hand, so they're already mad about ruining their draft status. This is 2 teams not going anywhere going forward. Tampa Bay and Atlanta in a game that I really thought Tampa Bay looked like they were going to try to win, was in pretty good position. Atlanta continued to play tough. There were rumors that apparently Bijan Robinson wasn't feeling well, so he didn't get a lot of touches as the game went. A lot of people expected Tampa Bay to be able to win this. Again, Atlanta, like some of the other teams I talked about, can't make up its mind what kind of team it's going to be this year, winning some games and losing some games, but ultimately kind of takes care of business, figures out how to pull out a win here in a game that was, a score each and then trading field goals back and forth, not pretty football. But ultimately, they're trying to win this division. The Saints lost. Carolina's obviously a lost cause. So this is a huge game to get in hand in Tampa. Atlanta gets a big road division win and takes a lead in the sole possession of first place in the NFC South. A game that really was a shame at the end how it turned out here, but Pittsburgh, you're finding a way to be 4-2. Just a lot of ugly games, but somehow have figured out a way to win 4 of them, and God bless them. That's how it works in the NFL. You got to take advantage when you can. They traded some blows back and forth. A couple of big plays. Deontay Johnson was a welcome addition back into this offense. Really helped kind of moving the chains a bit here or there. But ultimately, it really came down to the fact that they were able to convert. Defense got a couple stops, and late the Rams had to use timeouts to try to manage the clock. And on a 4th down play where Kenny Pickett ran a quarterback sneak, he was absolutely stopped short. But they gave him a good spot if you're a Pittsburgh fan, and marked him as he had gotten the first down. Well, since LA had used all of their timeouts, they didn't have a timeout to challenge it. And it was at like 2 minutes and 7 seconds. So it wasn't at the 2-minute warning. And also, it wasn't a turnover because they marked it as a first down. So a turnover, if they had marked him short, it would automatically get reviewed because a turnover is automatically reviewed. If it was at or after 2 minutes, it would be reviewed by the booth. Or if the Rams had a timeout, they could have challenged it, but none of those things happened. So it went on. Pittsburgh kneeled it out. LA never got the ball back. It should have been LA's ball, still down a score. Pittsburgh defense absolutely could have gotten a stop, but certainly something that was really rough to see play out in the way that it did. A game that, one team that absolutely knows who it is. I talked about this last week. The Cardinals are in a spot where, they played really scrappy for a while. They got that big win against Dallas, but they also, all the other games they were hanging in, they still lost. Now they're starting to stack up here. The Cardinals are 1-6. The Seahawks, really kind of pulled away as the game went. There wasn't a ton here, but it was a game at halftime. It was 14-10. Josh Dobbs ran in a touchdown. They looked pretty good. Seattle was without DK Metcalf. So this was a lot of, Kenneth Walker trying to work it. Jackson Smith and Jigba got his first touchdown of the year, so able to get some things figured out there. An amazing catch by Jake Bobo, a rookie, undrafted free agent. One of the most impressive toe taps you're ever going to see. Really, really well done by him. So good job by the Seahawks, taking care of business, beating the team you're supposed to do. This is how, kind of winning favored teams are supposed to take care of 1-win teams, as opposed to maybe some other teams that some people root for. Another game that was a little bit drunk today, Green Bay and Denver, both teams try to trade in blows back and forth, trying to be able to keep themselves in this game. Jordan Love has some flashes here or there, but man, does he make some boneheaded decisions at the wrong time. Even though Denver's defense had obviously been giving up ridiculous points to so many other teams, Green Bay just couldn't get a lot going early on. Russell Wilson played within himself, 20 of 29, nice efficient football, ran the ball for a really big pickup at one point, was able to get the ground game going a little bit, a couple nice play action plays. This wasn't a super impressive performance, but they did enough to get the win. They kicked field goal to be able to get themselves in position. And we're able to take an early lead, getting some field goal drives, playing smart football, and just not going completely in the tank, which I respect. Obviously Sean Payton and Russell Wilson trying to pull out some W's here. Green Bay just can't make up its mind. None of the young receivers have really stepped up in a dominant way. They couldn't get both AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones going all that much because they dug themselves a hole. I really expected this to be a game where they were running the ball a ton, but just could not get it going that direction. So just kind of slipping away from them in a young team like Green Bay, where I think they were expected to be a little bit more competitive this year. Again, talk about a team that knows what it is. The Kansas City Chiefs just continue to take care of business. Absolutely monster game from Travis Kelce. 12 catches for 179 yards and a touchdown. Mahomes looked like himself. He had one ugly pick, in the game, but other than that, played really, really well. And this Chargers team, I'm done talking about how talented they are. Maybe they're not that talented. Maybe people have just overstated what they have and what they were hopeful to be, because this defense continues to play in an embarrassing manner. Kansas City put up 24 points in the first half, and then kind of coasted in the second half. They couldn't get much of anything going. Justin Herbert has simply not looked good. And I don't know. They brought Kellen Moore out there. They're really supposed to open things up, take more shots downfield. I know they lost Mike Williams, but they've got a first-round wide receiver. They've got, talented players and guys who are able to make plays and just cannot put together anything sustained. Austin Eckler looks like a shell of himself. I just don't know what this team is supposed to be. And at 2-4, they're digging a bit of a hole that I'm not sure that they're going to be able to come back out of. Obviously, for anyone who didn't check it out, the Buffalo Bills lost in embarrassing fashion against the New England Patriots. It was an ugly, ugly, ugly game. They actually had the nerve of coming back and making me feel like they were going to pull out an ugly win that they didn't deserve, but I could at least be like, all right, well, we got to figure things out, but they're going to be at least got to win, and we can figure it out after, putting one in the W column. But no, not only did they play in embarrassing fashion, come all the way back, they let the New England Patriots drive down the field to score a game-winning touchdown with 12 seconds left in the game, and just continue to befuddle analysts and people who follow the team, trying to figure out what's wrong. So we'll spend more on that. Check out more content at the Cover One channel to hear all about that. I won't spend a lot of time there. Right now on Sunday Night Football, we are seeing the Philadelphia Eagles take an early lead against the Miami Dolphins, although the Dolphins did come back and put together a nice scoring drive at the end of the half. A bomb from Tua to Tyreek Hill hit him on a really nice play for a touchdown, got them back into competition here. Otherwise, the Eagles had been pretty much controlling and dominating most of the game so far. And then a fun game on Monday Night Football. We're going to see the San Francisco 49ers play against the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota kind of in a weird spot to be able to figure out, are they trying to get back into things? Are they going to, try to, focus on the draft for next year? It's come out that Kirk Cousins is not planning to waive his no trade clause. They don't have a choice to trade him unless Cousins agrees to. So we'll see where that goes. And, some of these teams are going to start to really think about those matters here. You have Carolina at 0-6. You have Arizona at 1-6, and then a whole bunch of teams with 2 wins. So today, teams like the Bears, the Patriots, the Broncos, all kind of helping each other out by getting a win at the same time and not losing ground to what could have been a much more painful and hurtful win in their draft hopes. So we'll see where those things fall and where that goes. without further ado, we do want to share a little bit about our sponsors with Underdog. Really have had a good time working with them. It's been a ton of fun. They have a lot of things going on that you're able to check out. Go in and do over-unders on some of the matchups that you see, things that you like. If you want to do a higher or lower, you're able to pick that out and be able to pick out some of the things that you think are going to fit with a matchup. You're able to go in and really put it together in a way that you're able to design some different pieces of a combination of picks. You can make your lineup, be able to put together some fun things where you think, tomorrow night TJ Hawkinson's going to have a big game, and you think Brandon Ayuk is going to have the better of where that matchup's going to go. So you're able to pick out things like that. Or on tight end week, you're able to go in and National Tight End Day, you think George Kittle is going to have the higher matchup. You're able to put those things together, pick out who's going to have the better game between different ones, or win yourself a little bit of money. If you use promo code Cover1, you'll get a match up to $100 on your first deposit. Make sure you check them out. They've been a ton of fun, really good sponsor for us, and really supportive of everything we're doing over at Cover1. Again, we'll be switching over here to the fantasy and gambling channel going forward to be able to have a little bit more fun across the NFL. You have tons of Buffalo Bills content over on the Buffalo Bills Cover1 channel. Here we'll be talking league wide, giving you all kinds of different information as the week goes. But tonight's been a ton of fun. Thank you for checking us out. On behalf of everybody over at Cover1, you've been listening to the Greg Tompsett Sports Show, and we are out.